Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Shri Shailaabhijanamburashishanam Shri Krishna Tatatmajam Shri Shailanve Devanatha Sutiya Praptagaman Tadvayam Padabje Narsimhatate Guroho Nyastatma Rakshabharam Vidvat Vrinda Chakora Chandiramaham Ramanujaryam Shraye Sriranga Sudha Madhusama Swadayantam Sriranga Mahishi Padapankajatmajam Sulabhashrayam Sada Moda Siddhamadbhutam Bhajeham Gurum Tam Ranganatha Priyam Sukhasanastham Hridayabjapithe Chinmudraya Lankrita Pani Padmam Shubho Pavitam Vimalordhapundram Namami Rangam Guru Mantarenge Namami Yoga Samrajnim Vijayam Vijayapradam Srirangardha Sanasinam Karunam Mamamataram Guru Rupa Paranjyotihi Jyoti Rupa Guru Paraha Ajnana Mandiram Hyetate Guru Vijnana Mandiram Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yatkrupa Tamaham Mande Paramananda Madhavam Yonta Pravishya Mama Vachamimam Prasuttam Sanjeevayatyakila Shaktidhara Swadhamna Anyamscha Hastacharana Shravana Togadin Pranan Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam Jayatya Santrasa Dhvanta Vidhvam Sanodayaha Prabhavan Sitaya Devya Paramau Yoma Bhaskaraha Chakradeva Prapannaya Tavasmiti Chayachate Abhayam Sarvabhutebhyaha Dadamyetad Vratam Mama Manojavam Martatulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam Vatatmajam Vanarayutha Mukyam Shriramadutam Shirasa Namami Vedavedye Pare Pumsi Jate Dasharathatmaje Veda Pracheta Sadasit Sakshad Ramayanatmana. With salutations to our Guru and the Guru of all Gurus, we'll commence our session today. So in the last session, we were in the Panchadasha Sargaha. It is called as the Sitopalambha Sargaha. And this is the Muhurtam, actually, where Hanuman, he gets closer to, Sita Mata. And we know the context there. He is perched on top of the Shimshupa Vriksham. And he is firm in his belief and determination that this is exactly the place where he will be able to locate. If at all, in any part of Lanka, it's going to be this particular place. And he turns his gaze towards a place which is quite dazzling. It is quite golden in hue. It seems to be a temple tower. And below that tower is where he spots a lady who he starts to describe. And he starts to, make the conjecture that this is definitely none other than Sita. And toward that particular goal, we see that, Hanuman perhaps doesn't want to repeat the mistake he made when he spotted Mandodari. So therefore, he will try to provide more reasons than one. And essentially boils down to this statement, Idam Itham. This is definitely none other than Sita. So let us go through. So we were probably in sloka number 29, 28. Yes, 26.
26.
Yeah, 26. Correct. Tam Samiksha Vishalakshim Malinam Krisham Tarkayamasa Siteti Karunehi Upapadibihi. So that's where we ended, where Hanuman says this is definitely Tarkayamasa. Tarkam Abdinaka Enoda Chanda Podada Abdin. Tarkam means logic. How do you relate cause with effect? And you have a fact, and is that fact close to reality? You are able to make such judgments using what is known as tarkam. And if you are able to perform this type of tarkam, then you are an established jnani, okay? Where the result of tarkam is light rather than heat. So tarkayamasa siteti karunehi upapadibihi. So in other words, karanaihi, sorry. What are the reasons that I believe that this is Sita? Hriyamana tada tene rakshasa kamarupina yatha rupa hidrishtavai tatha rupeya mangana. So these slokas, minna padam pinna padam apdi varum ena, they seem to be related, so we'll go in that direction. Okay. So this is an interesting shloka where Hanuman is saying that the first reason he says that this is probably Sita is that tada kamarupina tena rakshasa hriyamana. So in the past, when she was snatched or kidnapped by Kamarupi, that is Ravana, who could take any form that he wished, isn't it? He took the form of a mendicant to snatch Sita. The form that Sita was when that event happened, yatha rupa drishta iyam angana tatha rupa. So isn't the form that I am seeing now the same as the form that she was in when Ravana kidnapped Apdine? That is the first tarkam that he proposes. This seems to be intriguing because Hanuman, by no stretch of imagination, was a witness to that event. Yeah, if he was a witness, he would have powdered Ravana then and there. But this particular sloka basically means two things. One is at the physical level, perhaps he is looking at a lady who is sorrowful and emaciated. She is very thin and she is disabled. She is not interested in anything. So that perhaps correlates to the fact that she would have been in the same state when Ravana kidnapped her. Yeah, we will perhaps look at, yeah, correct. Yatha hi drishta vai tatha rupeya mangna. So that's the first correlation you can make. It's a physical correlation. Anybody with a reasonable amount of common sense, you want to infer that this is the same Sita when Ravana kidnapped her. But here in this shlokam, yatha rupa hi drishta vai tatha rupeya mangana. Vai in Sanskrit means, is it not indeed, which means it is perhaps alluding to the fact that Hanuman is able to make a retrospective vision of that particular event as it happened, which means to show that Hanuman himself is a jnani. That is the indication here. In other words, jnanis have the extraordinary ability to not only understand the present, predict what's going to happen in the future, but also, just they can do a rewind, so to say, of life's events, and they will be able to see those events as they happen. Okay. In other words, any event that happens makes an imprint on time and space. And that imprint is something that jnanis will be able to, if they close their eyes, they meditate, they will be able to exactly visualize what happened in the past. So that's the significance. So there are two words here, he and why. Okay, both of them are extremely strong words. One of them, for example, if it was only he that was used, then you can say he's using logic, because the word why is also used. What I believe is that this correlates to the fact that he's able to internalize exactly what happened, and he's able to say this is indeed the same person who was kidnapped by Ravana. Purnachandrananam subhrum charuvrittapayodharam kurvatim prabhaya devim sarva vitimiradishaha tam nilakeshim bimboshthim sumadhyam supratishtitam sitam padmapalashakshim manmathasya ratim yatha. Request as many of you to turn on your videos once again. So here Hanuman is describing the Rupam of Sita Mata. Okay, how does she look like? Purna Chandrananam. She, her face resembles the full moon. Subhrum, her eyebrows are really well shaped. Okay. Charuvritta Payodharam, that is, she is naturally having eyebrows which are well shaped, contrasted to what we see today. You can engineer your eyebrows, isn't it? Whichever way you want. Charuvritta Payodharam. So she has shapely chests. Abdingirar. Sarvaha dishaha prabhaya vitimiraha kurvatim. All the directions around her, she is illuminating with her own prabhay, meaning she is really golden hue in color. And vitimiraha, timiramna andhakaram, andhakaram illada prakashapadtira. She is able to enlighten all the directions around her. Avalu tejas, that is the impression he gets when he sees her. Devim, she is like a devi or a queen, pattamaishi. Neelakeshim, without dyeing her hairs itself, she has dark hair. Bimboshthim, without any lipsticks, she has lips which are red in color. Sumadhyam supratishtitam, she has tender waists. Okay, and supratishtham, her limbs are all well formed. Padma palashakshim, her eyes are very similar to that of the lotus petals. Manmathasya ratim yatha, so she is like Rati of Manmatha. So that's the beauty of Sita Devi. In spite of her being in a state of sorrow and depression, Hanuman is able to see her real beauty and enjoy it. Ishtam sarvasya jagataha purna chandra prabhamiva bhumau sutanumasinam niyatamiva tapasim. Purna chandra prabhamiva. Okay, she has the radiance of the full moon. Sarvasya jagataha ishtam niyatam tapasim iva. So she, for the entire world, she is somebody who is as dear as the full moon. Abdin solra. Bhumau asina sutanum. She is very well seated on the ground, firmly seated. Abdin artham. In other words, those who have a yogic body, they will not squat in any form or shape. Okay, so they will perhaps sit erect and in a manner that suits that person and personality, and they will also be healthy. That is why they are able to do it. And sutanum asinam, so her body is very well seated on the ground. So that is another observation Hanuman makes. Nishwasa bahulam bhirum bhujagendra vadhumiva shokajale mahata vitatena narajati. So he's the other logic he makes, the third logic. The second one is about the Sundaramana Swarupam. He has heard about Sita earlier in the past through Lord Rama himself. and Jatayu, sorry, Sampati and others. Therefore, he is able to correlate that this is perhaps the same lady. The third one now is Bhirum Bhujagendra Vadhumiva Nishwasa Bahulam Mahata Vitatena Shokajalena. She is crying profusely, and she is also breathing very heavily. And that breathing resembles the hissing sound of Bhujagendra Vadhu. So the consort of the Lord of Serpents. And the she is extremely sorrowful. So she is hissing as she is crying. And that is an extremely, you can think of it as a cobweb of grief that is spreading there. And this is the third logic that he used. Samsaktam dhumajalena shikhamiva vibhavasoho tam smritimiva sandigdham riddhim nipatitamiva. So there are a variety of similes or analogies that the Kavi provides us through Hanuman now. The situation that Sita is in, we are going to see in varied different types of expressions now. Let's take one after the other. Dhuma jalena samsaktam vibhavasaha shikhamiva. Dhuma jalena, it's like a cloud of smoke which has engulfed the vibhavasamna agni ki peru. Agni inude shikham. So just like smoke has engulfed fire. That is how Sita is looking now. She is somebody who is full of tejas, but currently she is in a state of extreme sorrow. So that's the first analogy Hanuman gives. The next one is Sandigdham Smriti Miva. When we have verses in Smriti, we all know about Shruti and Smriti, isn't it? So Shruti is Veda Vakyam. So Vedas, we all know what Vedas are. Smriti are the granthas that talk about how we should lead our day-to-day lives. And there are many different rishis who have come up with Smriti granthas. But what happens is, many times the rishis probably would have been in a state of hurry, Hurry, okay? They are in Hari always, but sometimes they are in hurry. So they may specify aphorisms which are very clear for them, but not so clear for others. So they will leave a place for interpretation. And sometimes these interpretations are not straightforward, okay? Especially, for example, Smriti Grantha, if you want to adopt, let's say you want to do Amavasya Tarpanam, and the Tithi falls on 2 days. So when are you supposed to perform the Tarpanam? Is it the previous day or today? You can talk for 1 hour. There will be 2 parties. It will dispute. Finally, the result will be which matham you belong to. This matham or that matham. Then you adopt whichever is close to your heart, isn't it? So like that Sandigdham, there is a doubt that even Smriti Granthas sometimes have. So she is resembling somebody like that, meaning she is full of doubts now, whether I will exit this situation or not. Is this going to be permanent for me? So that's perhaps the feeling she has there. Last one, Riddhim Nipatitam Iva, just like Riddhinaka, fortune or Shri. Somebody has lost their entire wealth. That is how, that is the exact state that she is perhaps in. She has lost all her wealth, which is the nearness to Ramachandra. Vihatamiva cha shraddham asham pratihatamiva sopasargam yatha siddhim buddhim sakalushamiva. More analogies coming here. Vihatamiva shraddham. She seems to have lost her faith Okay, she's losing all her hopes also. Asham pratihatam. So she has lost both faith as well as hope. Okay. அடுத்தது சோபசர்காம் சித்திம் இவ. Just like success is being inhibited through lots of obstructions many times in our lives, when we are into our karma and we are not able to see any light at the end of the tunnel. So we all try to lose our hope. And that is perhaps the state that she is currently in. அடுத்தது சகலுஷாம் புத்திம் இவ. So just like the buddhi gets adulterated with kalusham, that is perhaps the state that she is in. In other words, if somebody is really intelligent, then you are in a position to determine what is good and what is bad. But if you happen to fall into a situation which makes your mind to waver and your buddhi not to be in a sthiram state, that is perhaps what Sita currently is going through. So idallam Hanumanuடைய conjectures. Okay. Abhutena apavadena kirtim nipatitam iva ramo parodha vyathitam rakshoharana karshitam. So the last set of analogies that Hanuman is giving here. Abhutena apavadena nipatitam. Abhutena, that is something which has really not happened. Okay. So somebody is making a false allegation, apavadam. And the kirti of that person essentially goes into tatters. So it's something like somebody is losing your fame because people are trolling you on Twitter. Okay. So you are good-natured, but there are so many people who are ready to troll you. And நம்மளுக்கே சந்தேகம் வந்துரும், oh, maybe I am not a good person. Okay. அந்த அளவுக்கு if you get trolled, that is exactly the state here. Abhutena apavadena kirtim nipatitam. Then you have to establish a full marketing team to get you back on the rails. Okay. But why is all this happening? Ramo parodha vyatitam. She is pained. She is sorrowful because she is obstructed from getting back in touch with Rama. Uparodham. And Rakshoharana Karshitam. That's purely because of the fact that she is completely Karshitam. She has become so thin because of Rakshopaharanam. Rakshasan has kidnapped her. Okay.
Why all these are happening to Sita? Is this because of her Prarakta Karma? Should we believe there like that, or should we take him like that? Or it's a lesson for all of us to understand why?
So many things happening. So, in fact, one of the subsequent shlokas, Hanuman himself asked this question. Why is this happening to Sita? Sita ke priyardana, will it not happen to ordinary people? That shloka is going to come. But basically, there is a lot of lessons here. One is, why did this happen to Sita? There's a physical reasons, emotional reasons, and spiritual reasons. All three types of reasons do exist. One of the very first things is she got attracted with the deer. So, and then she wanted to pursue it and possess it. So there's a kind of attachment that she generated. Okay. And that is the moola karanam of all this. Vishayathil irukkakudiya sangam. That's what we learned in Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? Sangat sanjayate kamaha, kamat krodho vijayate, etc., etc. So the Vishaya Sangam is the moola karanam. But she is somebody who is a tapaswini, and she has the best of possible husbands and the systems. In spite of all that, this happened. So there must be a daivi reason behind this. It's not only the physical ones, but there is a sankalpam that this event happened. But there is a fact, we will touch upon some of those aspects as to, she is completely shattered now, mentally. So much so that even her buddhi is trying to get into a state of confusion, right? Although she is a tapaswini and all that. So this is something that we will all go through. no matter how strong you are mentally, physically, spiritually, this is something that we'll have to bear in mind, that these events are bound to happen in our life either today or tomorrow. How are we going to treat it? How are we going to resolve ourselves into it is where the entire difference is. Hanuman, towards the end of the Sargam, will see that he sees some gems of qualities in Sita. In spite of being in that state, she is able to not lose her character. Right? So that is something that he in fact cherishes. So how are we supposed to retain that poise? That is something is not easy to answer. The only way that could happen is through tapas, without losing our faith. Although here you will see that somebody who has lost her faith, lost her hopes. Everything comes here, isn't it? But Hanuman at the same time is able to see her brilliance or her tejas. She is actually illuminating even physically. Okay. So therefore, there is bound to be periods of eclipse. So that will not take away the radiance from the sun. So these are momentary phases, is something that we should bear in mind. But during that phase of eclipse, how are we supposed to handle ourselves, retain our cool? That is something that we have to pick up as a life skill. So that is something we'll see how that skill can be acquired, etc.
Also, I have a question, like for being a tapasvini or a people who are having a greatest good qualities and all, just to get attached to simple things, you have to go through such terrible customs in your life. Is it what life is for everyone?
Right.
So this is attachment. Yes, people do get attached to. Without attachment, we can't live. So there should be a detached way of attachment. I do agree, but still, for certain simpler things, why do you go through that so much of sufferings, and you have to stay in that balanced state? When you lose your mind, and there is someone else who has to come and protect you from there, and still you have to have trust and belief on one thing. And it's all a bit, though it's a storyline kind of a thing, it's all a bit confusing.
Correct. I mean, if you were to look at it from Sita's shoes, right? What did I do? After all, I only asked for a golden deer to be in my possession. I really liked it. And I have fallen into this particular trough, right? And yeah, I am in a state, such a pitiable state, that I am not able to sustain myself. I am at the mercy of others. Or state. Now, is this something that happened to her? No, in the 13-year Vanavasatla, she would have definitely had desires. And those desires would have been really met with gracefully. She would have said, in the Payankondavango, let us have that fruit, let us enjoy it, or let us go and visit that particular lake or river. So they would have actually fulfilled all other natural desires. The reason why this particular desire failed is there is a Mula Karanam there, which goes to Ravanavadam. Ravana is somebody who had to be killed. So therefore, this particular moham, among all the types of moham, this is the Mahamoham, Mahamaya. And that is something that even she could not control. That is what we should infer from this. So among all desires, we should be able to grade the desires, where if the biggest desire takes away our near and dear people and puts us in danger, then we should keep in mind that is the Mahamaya we should try to keep away from. So that's perhaps the lesson we get from this episode. Okay. So did somebody else raise a hand? No.
I just wanted to share, just like Arjuna went through Ragam, Shogam, and Mogam, Ade Madri, because of her Ragam, attachment towards the deer, so Ipa our Soga state la rumba intense Sogatla irkardanaala, probably her, her buddhi is also deluded now, like she is not able to, clearly think what's going to happen, appadinu, even though she's a Jnani herself, like, she's the goddess herself. She's unable to, even so, Sita ke and the problem, Nana, for a normal people like us, this will drag us to anywhere.
Exactly. No, the character gets built over time. It is not instantaneous. So just like Rama is groomed by Vishwamitra, Sita is actually groomed by her own father Janaka, who is the greatest among Jnanis. And she is no less in all the Kalyana Gunams. That is actually what Janaka himself says at the time of their wedding. Okay. She is somebody who deserves you, but you are somebody who also deserve her. So we'll get that correlation shortly from Hanuman himself. Okay. So Ramapra. Abalam Mrigashabakshim Vikshamanam Samantataha Bashpambu Paripurnena Krishna Vakrakshi Pakshmana. So he is now describing the Abalam Mrigashabakshim, or Kangal, they are like Hiran or deer. Bashpambu Paripurnena, her eyes are filled with tears. Krishna Vakrakshi Pakshmana, her eyelashes are also very dark and curved. Aprasannena Vadanena, so there's the next padam that we have to mix this with. Vadanena Aprasannena Nishwasantim Punah Punaha. She is crying every now and then, and her eyes are really filled with tears. Okay. So that is this description of Sita there. Malapankadharam dinam mandanarham amanditam prabham nakshatra rajasya kalameghairivavritam. Malapankadharam dinam. So her she is covered with dirt and mud, meaning she has not paid too much attention to grooming herself because of her sorrow. Dinam, she is in a very dayaniyamana condition, okay, wretched condition. Mandanarham amanditam, she is somebody who needs to be adorned with lot of jewels and so on. But currently, there is nothing that she has decorated herself with. Kalameghehi avritam nakshatra rajasya prabhamiva. Just like the radiance of moon is covered by dark clouds. That is how I see Sita right now. Tasya sandidihe buddhihi muhu sitam nirikshato amnayam ayogena vidyam prashitilam. There is another beautiful analogy that's coming up now. This is definitely none other than Sita. I see some conflicting things here, dualities. I see that she is really somebody who has the tejas. The moment you look at the person, you will know. But she is also going through a state which has put her in a dayaniya sthiti. The last analogy that he seems to be giving, Hanuman is giving, is Amnayanam ayogena prashithilam vidyam iva. Amnayana Vedangal. Right? It is as if the Vidyas are not coupled with Vedas. That is the analogy that Hanuman is giving it. In other words, there's a subtle thing here we have to understand. So there are 64 Vidyas or Kalas, and there are Vedas. What is the connection between these two? Right? So what is the connection between art? What is it? Art and Vedas? connection between, let's say, archery and Vedas, connection between the art of cooking and Vedas. So in reality, the Ugamasthanam, or the birthplace of any Vidya, is nothing but the Vedas, right? So Vedas describe everything in detail. And if you create a new Vidya by accident, right? And if it is supposed to be called as a Vidya, what is the meaning of Vidya? Vidya is something, Sa Vidya Ya Vimukte. That is called as Vidya, which has a definite path for us towards liberation, ultimately. Anything that does not lead us to that state of liberation is called as avidya. So if you are very good at in the art of cooking, it should not only be satisfying all our tongues and other senses, but ultimately through all this rasam, it should lead us to the raso vaisaha, the Paramatman, who is the root of all rasas. So if you are not able to connect the art of cooking, if it is going to be udara nimittam bahukrita vesha, if it's going to satisfy only your stomach and all the indriyas, then we should not call that as cooking vidya. So it will happen to be vidya of cooking only when, because you have taken that food, it automatically, it not only satisfies your indriyas, but is also able to take you towards a healthy state of balance, where all the doshas or tridoshas are balanced, and automatically leads you to a state of yoga. That is when the art of cooking coincides with the art of leading the real life. So therefore, all vidyas, by definition, you look at even Dhanur Vidya or any type of Vidya, they would all have originated from Vedas. And if you lose that connection, then it is devoid of the real rasam. That is the analogy is giving. Amnayanam ayogena vidyam prashithilam iva. So such vidya will not withstand the test of time. Okay. So some Shilpa Kalas have withstood the test of time compared to others. The reason is there is a connection to Vedas or Jnanam or Pranavam. The moment that connection is lost, Vidya becomes Prashithilam. So in fact, he is comparing Sita's state to that particular state. In other words, there is a disconnection between herself and her true state, which she was a few months ago. Okay. Dukkhena bubudhe sitam hanuman analankritam samskarena yathahinam vachamarthantaram gatam. More analogy is coming up. Very, very, these are all life lessons, This is how rishis Paloti, Valarkrangam, they basically give us food for thought, is all through this, So when you learn a vidya, you ensure that it leads you into Vedas. Adhe madri inge analogy kuda Hanuman analankritam samskarena hinam arthantaram gatam vacham yatha. So this is talking about the art of speaking. Okay, when we speak, not all of us have that ability to connect the speech with the artham, shabda with shabdartham, isn't it? So if you are depicting a word which will take you to a state of anger, let it connect you with the state of anger. If you just speak words that connote anger, but do not elicit any feeling in the other person, okay, then there is a connection that is lost there again. That's what samskarena yathahinam vacham arthantaram gatam. Okay. Hey, poi kondu vainga. So there is an effect there. Hey, poi kondu vainga. And the person buy. So he is not going to execute your instruction, right? Samskarena yatha hinam. That samskara is something that ties the shabdam with artham. So when that is lost, then the Vacham will become Arthantaram. It will take a Viparitamana meaning. It will take an exactly opposite meaning. Okay. So that is perhaps the state that Sita is in right now. Tam Samiksha Vishalakshim Rajaputri Maninditam Tarkayamasa Siteti Karanairupapadibhi. Vishalakshim Aninditam. She is somebody who has not been blamed by anybody. Okay. Tam Rajaputrim Samiksha Patat Upapadibihi Karanaihi Siteti Tarkyamasa. So looking at all the Karanas that we have thus far mentioned, Hanuman makes a conclusion that this is definitely Sita. Videhyayani Changeshu Tada Ramonvakirtayate Tanyabharana Jalani Gatra Shobhinya Lakshayate Sukrutau Karnaveshtau Cha Swadamstrau Cha Susamsthitau Mani Vidruma Chitrani Haste Shwabharanani Cha Shyamani Chirayuktatvat Tatha Samsthanavanti Cha Tanyai Vetani Manyeham Yani Ramonvakirtayate. Now his gaze turns towards her body. Very interestingly, he's looking at Sita without any abharanam. But he is able to locate the fact that those abharanas were actually adorning her in those many places. So those abharanas, when you wear a jewel for quite a long time, you will actually see that it would have made some impact on your body. Okay. So in the Kalatla, Sila Perkada Tangam, okay, Ambani's daughters and all that. You wear abharanas at 24/7, it will make an imprint on the body. Hanuman is seeing those imprints, and that's what he's describing here. Enala Suldar Tada Ramaha Yani Abharana Jalani Vaidehyaha Angeshu Anvakirtayate. So Hanuman is remembering all the jewels that Rama himself described. Okay, Sita was wearing this anklet. You are going to get the description of all that. He is able to see those Gatra Shobhini, all those ornaments that actually adorn the body. Ennalam Tani Alakshayate. What are those? Sukurtau, they are all well crafted. Karnaveshtau, ear ornaments. So Kundalangal irkaredla. Now perhaps Sita is not wearing it, but he is able to see the imprint there. Susamsthitau, Prashwadamstrau. Abdina in the Nai Pal Abdinartham. Adedor ornament which has that shape, perhaps. Okay, she was wearing it in some place. He was able to see the imprint of that. Arthade Hasteshu Mani Vidruma Chitrani. So different types of corals and pearls. Avaranani Chirayuktatvat Shyamani. Because she has worn them for quite a long time, they have made a black mark on her body. So that is something that Hanuman is able to notice from a distance. Okay, very interesting. That although he is in quite a far off place, he is able to observe these very important pieces of information. Tatrayanyavahinani tanyaham nopalakshaye yanyasya navahinani tani manina samshayaha. So what he's saying is, I'm able to see the exact places where different ornaments that were described by Rama to me, I'm able to see the location. And they are absent. They are conspicuous by their absence and so on. Yeah. So that is something I'm able to make an inference here. No palakshaye asyaha yani na avahinani tani imani na samshayaha. In fact, there are some ornaments which she dropped on the way, isn't it? That is what Sampati gets hold of, right? And perhaps those are the very places where I'm able to locate on her body the chinhas. Okay. Pitam kanakapattabham srastam tadvasanam shubham uttariyam nagasaktam tada drishtam plavangamaihi. She also drops her uttariyam, which is pitambaram in color. And I'm able to correlate that with the Pitambara Vastram that she is currently wearing. She has only one Vastram, isn't it? That is what we had seen the description earlier, which is yellowish in color. So I'm able to correlate the dress that the Vanaras showed me. Bhushanani vichitrani drishtani dharani tale anayai vapavidhani swanavanti mahanti cha nayaiva dharani tale upavidhani swanayanti mahanti mukhyani bhushanani. I'm able to see the abharanas that were dropped as well as the vastram that she had dropped en route to Lanka. Idam chiragrihi tatvat vasanam klishtavattaram tathapi nunam tadvarnam tatha srimatyathe tarat. Idam vasanam, this cloth, chiragrihi tatvat klishtavattaram tathapi nunam tadvarnam itarat yatha tata srimat. So he's looking at the cloth that Sita is wearing right now. It is kind of crumpled, klishtavattaram. Chiragrihi tatvat. She has been wearing that for quite a long time. And he then makes a logic. He actually creates a tarkam that this is perhaps the same vastram whose uttareyam she had dropped earlier. Of the same color. Iyam kanakavarnangi ramasya mahishi priya pranashtapi sati yasya manasona pranashyati. She is kanakavarnangi. She is golden hue in complexion. Ramasya priya mahishi. She is somebody who is loved by Rama indeed. Pranashtapi asya manasaha na pranashyati. Although she is temporarily lost for Rama, no doubt that Rama is not able to lose her from his mind. Okay. So that's the other correlation he's making now. This person who I am seeing now, she is indeed worthy for Rama to keep in his mind. Abdin solrar. I think there are a few more slokas, but they are a little bit more profound, so it needs a little bit more attention. Okay, we'll continue that in the next session.
Guru Charanam Puja Nirbhara Bhakta Guru Charanam Puja Nirbhara Bhakta Samsara Chitradhava Mukta Guru Charanam Puja Krishna Krishna Sendriya Devam Rakshasi Jagrada Yastam Devam Bhaja Govindam Bhaja Govindam Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate
Kayena vacha manasa indriyairva buddhya atmana va prakrite svabhavat karomi yadyat sakalam parasmai shriman narayanaayeti samarpayami sarvam Sri Ramachandra arpanamastu. Have a great day and a week ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaskaram.
Thank you. Namaskaram.